There's something deeply haunting about the way King Von's story ended. Not just because of the violence that claimed his life or the surveillance footage that would go viral, but because of everything that followed: the whispers, the contradictions, the heartbreak, and the silence. It wasn't just the loss of a rapper on the rise, it was the unraveling of an entire community trying to make sense of what happened in the early hours of November 6, 2020, outside an Atlanta nightclub. King Von wasn't just another drill rapper. He was the voice of O'Block, a symbol of triumph over circumstances and a figure whose music painted vivid portraits of street life. But even those closest to him didn't see the end coming like this. The chaos that erupted that night didn't stop with gunshots. It echoed in hospital rooms, online rumors, and cryptic social media posts. What really happened after those shots were fired? Who was there? And what was hidden in the noise? That night, Von had just released his album, Welcome to O'Block. The project had real momentum. Critics and fans alike praised the storytelling, the rawness, the progression from the brash energy of his early songs. For once, it seemed like Von was pulling away from the streets that raised him. He was in Atlanta, far from Chicago, performing, networking, building his brand. The energy was up. Everything looked like it was falling into place. But beneath the celebration, old tensions were bubbling. Quando Rondo, associated with NBA YoungBoy, had friction with Von's camp. It wasn't about one tweet or a diss track, it was deeper, tied into affiliations, past incidents, and the kind of street politics that don't play out in public until they explode. Outside the Monaco hookah lounge, things spiraled fast. Surveillance footage would later show Von approaching Quando Rondo and throwing punches. No one knew that in the crowd, Lul Tim, Quando Rondo's close friend, was armed. What followed were gunshots in quick bursts. Von was hit. Chaos erupted as people scattered. Officers nearby dispatched in. More shots. Screams. A rapper laying on the pavement. But this wasn't just a shootout, it was the beginning of a mystery that would unfold in layers. Initial reports were confusing. Some said Von had been shot by police. Others claimed it was Quando's crew. Some said he was rushed to the hospital right away. But how long was he lying on that pavement before helping came? And what really happened in those first critical minutes? Security footage showed Von being dragged into a car by friends. They were panicked, frantic. But that image sparked questions. Why wasn't an ambulance called immediately? Were they trying to avoid police? Or was it something deeper, like mistrust of the system? That delay, those minutes between being shot and reaching the hospital, may have made all the difference. At Grady Memorial Hospital, things got even murkier. Von was alive when he arrived, according to some witnesses. He was rushed into surgery. But then, suddenly, reports of his death started circulating online before the hospital even made a statement. DJ Academics tweeted that Von had passed. Then he retracted it. Then said it was confirmed. The back and forth was dizzying. Von's family hadn't even been informed yet. And in the silence from officials, rumors filled the gap. One said Von was still alive on life support. Another said he was dead on arrival. Others said there was foul play in the hospital itself. No one could get a straight answer. And the confusion only fed the paranoia. Then came the stories from people who claimed to be there. Some said Von's pulse was weak but present. Others said he died in the car on the way to the hospital. There were whispers about the medical staff. Were they really doing everything they could to save him? One unverified rumor claimed that the hospital hesitated to treat Von because of his gang affiliation. Another said that a friend of Von's had to threaten the staff to get them to act faster. None of it was confirmed. But in the absence of facts, people believed what did their fears. Then came the strangest twist. A viral tweet claimed that Von wasn't even shot fatally, that he could have survived if he'd been treated quickly. Someone close to his circle claimed a nurse told them Von was alive for at least 30 minutes after being brought in. That alone was enough to send conspiracy theories into overdrive. Was someone trying to let him die? Was there more going on in that hospital room than we were told? And Von's sister, Calaby, only added to the storm. Her emotional tweets alternated between grievance and fury. She said people were lying, clout-chasing, spreading fake news. But in her pain, she also revealed something deeper. She didn't know the full story either. Even Von's family seemed to be piecing together information in real time, learning from social media rather than doctors or officials. That silence, the lack of an official timeline, the hesitation from police to release details only deepened the sense that something was being hidden. As the days passed, fans started connecting dots, maybe ones that weren't there. They looked at who was around Von that night. They dissected every frame of the surveillance footage. They analyzed the positioning of bodies, the timing of the shots, the routes taken to the hospital. And then they started asking who set him up. Some believed it was an inside job, that someone tipped off Quando's camp, that Vaughn was lured into that location, that the fight wasn't random. Others pointed to the odd behavior of some of his friends. Why did some people flee the scene immediately? Why did others hesitate? Why did one friend post on social media before even checking on Vaughn? Then there was the narrative about his manager. In a rare interview, Vaughn's manager gave his account of that night. He said it was a blur, that he was shot too, that no one expected it to go down like that. But fans weren't satisfied. They wanted to know why Vaughn's team wasn't better prepared. Why didn't they stop him from approaching Quando? Wasn't he too valuable to risk his life like that? But that question circles back to who Vaughn was. He wasn't a rapper playing gangster. He was someone who lived that life. That pride, that sense of code, it wasn't for show. And maybe that's what made him vulnerable. He didn't move like a star. He moved like someone who still had something to prove. That night, it cost him everything. Then came the autopsy photo leak. A disturbing image of Vaughn's body, lifeless on a table, surfaced online. It spreads like wildfire. Fans were outraged. How could such a private moment be violated like that? The leak pointed to someone within the morgue. The image was graphic, disrespectful, and felt like a final insult. Vaughn's sister exploded online, calling for justice. The person suspected of the leak was allegedly fired, but the damage was done. It became another part of the tragedy. Vaughn couldn't even rest in peace. And with every new day, the conspiracy grew. Some fans pointed to Vaughn's lyrics, saying he predicted his death. Others said the industry sacrificed him, that he was getting too big, that his storytelling had power, and power always has enemies. These theories may sound extreme, but for a generation raised on betrayal, backdoor deals, and media manipulation, they didn't feel far-fetched. People had seen too many artists die young, too many cases left unresolved. For them, Vaughn's death fit a familiar pattern. Even years later, there's still no full closure. Lul Tim was arrested, then released. He walks free while Vaughn is gone. Quando Rondo's career never fully recovered. He faced backlash, canceled shows, and public disdain. But he also insisted he had no choice, that it was self-defense, that his crew acted to protect him. The legal system hasn't settled it decisively. And maybe it never will. But for Vaughn's fans, the pain isn't just about justice, it's about confusion. About not knowing the truth. About a hero dying in the dark with no clear story. Every new video, every leaked text, every old tweet is re-examined like evidence. And still, the questions remain. Did he die on the street or in the hospital? Was he betrayed? Did someone delay the ambulance on purpose? Was he set up? Or was it all just the tragic ending to a life lived at the edge? What's clear is this: King Vaughn wasn't just a rapper. He was a symbol of talent emerging from trauma, of a storyteller who made pain into poetry. His death wasn't just violent. It was cloudy, surrounded by silence, misinformation, and suspicion. And that's what makes it harder to heal. Because it's not just that King Vaughn is gone. It's that we may never know exactly how. And in that silence, the questions echo louder than the gunshots ever did.